Every woman in this country, I think, must be aware that it's most important that they check their medicine cabinet and that they do not take this drug.
It was one of the biggest scandals of our time, thalidomide, the supposed wonder drug given to pregnant women, which caused tens of thousands of them to lose their babies and left around 20,000 children with terrible disabilities.
There are some children without arms, some without legs, some without arms or legs.
In a minute. Hello?
Hello. Can't see you.
Okay then, bye.
What? Oh, you're talking to someone else?
I was on the phone.
Yeah.
Where's my picture? I can't see my picture.
You have to press the video button.
Oh no, look, on my hair. What are you doing with your camera?
I'm filming it instead of screen recording it.
Do you want the light on, or am I alright like this?
I like that.
You like this lighting?
Yeah.
Wave your arms around.
My arms?
Yeah.
Do you want my arms?
Yeah.
To make the point. I'm thalidomide, I've only got little arms. How do you think your life's been affected by thalidomide?
I don't think it's been affected that much, but I think there's definitely a few things that I've not been able to do because of you being disabled, like going on like certain holidays that include like a lot of walking or like different activities, outdoor activities that you can't do. But I've always had people in my life, I suppose, that I could do that with. I don't necessarily have to do it with you.
I was looking through all the photographs and I was thinking to myself that actually we did do quite a lot of fun stuff when you were younger. I might not have been able to join in absolutely everything, but I think I certainly gave you the chance to, even if we had to take other people to assist, I gave you the opportunities to do the things that.
But it's not always about just doing the thing. Like I understand that I had like people there to do it with, but sometimes you just want to like do stuff with your mum.
What do you think people's perceptions are of you because you have a disability? Do you think people think that? Do you think people see you and think that you might have like a learning disability or something? So they come up to you and they talk to you like a child almost.
I think some people will purposefully try to avoid you because they're a little bit frightened because they're not really sure what you're able to do or what you're not able to do. But once people interact with me, people have said that they suddenly really forget about my disability. So they might pass me a drink but not put it close enough to me, and then I'll say, oh, can you put that drink closer? And they'll say, oh, sorry, I forgot, and they'll get all embarrassed. But to me, that's a real compliment because they're seeing past my disability. And I think a lot of people will look at me and make assumptions about what I can and can't do for myself. So they might think, oh, well, you know, she can't get herself dressed. She needs help when she goes to the toilet. She can't have a child. She probably doesn't have a relationship because who would want her? So people will make those kinds of general assumptions that, you know, we might be just as guilty about making somebody who, say, had a weight problem or somebody who was black because we don't really understand what it's like to live with that.
Do you think that when you were younger you were jealous of your sisters because of them being able-bodied and them being able to do things? Do you still get jealous about things like that?
No, I think it actually happened the other way round, that Michelle and Yvette used to get really angry because they were forced to help me. They were forced to lend a hand to help me go to the toilet, to put my shoes and socks on and to reach things for me. So they resented that they had to do that if they were doing something else. And, you know, I said, all right, I need you to help me do this. And I think, you know, speaking to them now as adults, they resented the fact that we had these organised holidays that we used to go on. So I used to go off on holiday, and they'd see me getting all my stuff packed, and they'd see these holiday pictures of me on a lovely hot beach, and they were quite jealous of that. But Michelle always says, you always brought us lots of presents home with you. What do you think it must have been like for my mum when she'd given birth to me, having a baby that was missing, big chunks of arm and legs, and not really knowing what the future had in store?
Well, from what you've said, I don't think she loved you any less of a child. Like, she always loved you even though that you weren't, like, able-bodied. I think she was probably a little bit nervous about how she was going to, like, look after you, because at the time she didn't have much money, did she? So she didn't, like, know, like, how you were going to do things for yourself. But I think I guess she, like, must have been sad, but I don't think she was sad because she thought, oh no, my baby isn't, like, normal. I think she was more sad because she wanted you to, like, be able to do things that other people could.
How do you think disabled people are perceived today?
I think they're normally seen as quite weak, but from what I've seen of a lot of disabled people is they're not like that. They're quite independent and want to be independent. They don't want loads of things done for them. They want to be able to do things on their own that they just struggle to. And I don't ever, like, for example, I don't see you as any different to anyone else. Like, do you remember that time that you always tell me that story of when I was little and I just turned around when I was like 5 or something and I was like, Mummy, why are your arms smaller? So I obviously didn't see you as any different up until that age. Like, I didn't even notice that you had a disability.
You said, Mummy, why haven't you got any thumbs?
Yeah.
And I went, oh. And then you said, do you want mine? Do you think there are any benefits from having a mum who was disabled?
Probably got to meet a lot of interesting people because of it, and I think the most beneficial thing, is just having a good understanding of what it's like to be disabled. And although you're quite lucky in the fact that, like, you have a lot of money, I've heard you talk about people that have disabilities and they really struggle because they're not getting enough money and they're not getting enough help, and there's nothing really they can do about it. They can't go out and work and earn more money. They can't work. So I think it's probably given me a little bit of sympathy, but a good kind of sympathy. Like, I'm not sympathetic like, oh, your life must be so hard. It's more that I can sympathise that their life is hard, but I can also still think that you can't just assume that they have a bad life, because they might actually have a good life, because you have too. But they still must struggle with things because that's part of disability.
Do you have any fears or concerns for the future, how my disability might impact upon me as I age?
I think from seeing people with dementia and Alzheimer's and seeing, like, how hard it gets for them to do stuff, and just seeing how people deteriorate as they get older, it kind of gives me a little bit of fear, especially because I'm an only child, so I know that when I get older I'm going to be responsible for you and Dad if you are unable to care for yourself. And especially because if you got dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that, you'd need twice as much as help. Do you think you might have had more children if you weren't disabled?
Well, again, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because
Would you have? But did you want more children?
I found it difficult to get pregnant. because I only had half a uterus, and that was as a consequence of thalidomide.
Yeah.
So getting pregnant in the first place was never going to be straightforward. It was quite a miracle that I got pregnant once, and it was good that I managed to carry a baby full term and deliver a healthy baby. I would have liked another child, yes, but I'll wait until you have a baby now, and then I'll borrow that one off you. Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. Bye.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.